Hello, everybody, and welcome to another one of CPDSO's weekly webinars. It's a pleasure to have you all with us as the room fills up. We've had a lot of people waiting in the waiting room, so thank you for coming in early. It's much appreciated. We have people coming and joining us from all over the world. We have people coming from the States, from Africa, from Asia, Middle East, Australia, so literally everywhere. So very happy to have you all with us today. People still coming into the waiting room. So that's fantastic. We've got a really big one, highly anticipated today. Highly anticipated. This is probably the most popular webinar yet that we're running. And we have it is on digital etiquette. So that's a really new term for me. When our guest speaker told me about it, it definitely did make my ears perk up. So really interested to get this one done. Digital etiquette communicating in a coronavirus world is the title of today. So we've still got people coming in. As you do come in, guys, if you could please do me a big favor and just switch off your screens for us. If you could switch off your cameras, it would be much appreciated. That's just for GDPR. This will be going live on YouTube afterwards. So if you could please just cooperate and switch off your cameras. I am not happy with this because I do want to see your faces, but unfortunately it is for GDPR purposes. So if you could just do that for me, it would be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Room still filling up, people still coming in. Okay, so just a quick housekeeping check. Like I said, the first one, if you can, please, there's still a few more videos on. If you could just turn those off, it would be much appreciated. So today we are going to be having a Q&A session at the end of the presentation by our guest, Sykes. Really looking forward to that one again, like I said. So please do use the chat appropriately. Any questions, we're more than happy to take questions in the chat. So please do use it for that. That's the primary use of the messaging system today. So, like I said, no keyboard warriors allowed. That is actually something that I was thinking about before, just to go off on a little tangent. That's something I was thinking about before. With digital etiquette, keyboard warriors, one of the effects of kind of this whole digital age is that it has kind of brought about this kind of keyboard warrior mentality. And that's because of anonymity and because of distance as well. So when you're not so close to people, I guess your etiquette drops, and the way that you kind of react and respond to people drops as well. So kind of looking at how to maintain that. I'm sure we're going to be touching on some of that today as well. So no self-promotion, please, in the chat. So no links or anything like that in the chat, please. Much appreciated. And finally, please do share. So please do share any support that you have for myself as a presenter, for Philip as a guest presenter, and Amanda as well. So any positive comments, we always like those. And also, again, like I said, ask questions, put them in the chat. You don't have to wait until the Q&A session. We are actually taking those chats out and saving them for the Q&A portion of this session. So please do get those questions in nice and early, more chance of them actually getting answered at the end. And finally, before I start to hand over, we just got a couple webinar polls that we want to run through with you guys. It's just a standard procedure. So the first webinar poll that we're going to be looking at is going to be asking you your status with us. So whether you are a member or a non-member, if you're interested or considering joining us, or if you're just here to get the information on the topic. Like I said, a really intriguing topic that we have today, digital etiquette. So I won't blame you if you're just here for the topic, because it's really an intriguing one that we've got Philip in for today. But if you are considering joining, please do obviously hit that option, and we will be in contact with those that are interested in joining us. Also, just want to find out how many of these webinars that you've attended so far also. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll end that one. Thank you very much. And just a second quick poll that I have for you today. Just want to find out what topic you'll be interested in us running in a future session. So we've got a few options there for you. They should be on your screen right now. Just want to know what topic you would be interested in us out of the ones on your screen right now in us running in the next couple of weeks. So we have the effects of COVID on mental health and returning to work, as many of us are, presenting without the drama, using SEO to drive traffic to your page, how to use PPC advertising effectively, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Last week, we actually had a brilliant session on LinkedIn. And what I'm gonna do right now, actually, I'm just gonna share that link because you guys can go ahead after this webinar and check that one out. It's a brilliant session. We've got it live on YouTube now. I'm going to share that link with you all as well. You can also obviously sign up to our page, and we share all of our webinars there. So if you just register on that YouTube page, it's in the chat now, then you will be able to get all of those webinars to you. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn off this poll right now. Thank you so much for answering that one. Okay, so enough of me. I'm going to hand you over to Amanda for a quick CPDSO update.
Thank you, Daniel, and welcome to everybody here today. It's such a great privilege to talk to all of you that are dialing in, we can see, from all 4 corners of the globe. As Daniel has just mentioned, we run these webinars on a weekly basis. And during the webinar, just as you've just seen, we take a poll and we see what are the big topics for you over the coming weeks. As all of you have experienced, as we have experienced, this has been the most unusual, strange time. And just like many of our training and coaching businesses that we work with that are part of our member or subscriber community, the CPD Standards Office has as well needed to pivot to offer our members more support. So what we do is we run these polls to understand what it is that are your most pressing needs in terms of information and support that you need. And then we take a day or two to find an excellent guest speaker. And it's Philip Sykes joining us today from the British School of Etiquette on the topic of digital etiquette, which is, as Daniel says, a really big kind of hotspot now for us because we're all communicating digitally and over Zoom calls or Microsoft Teams or whatever it is, the platform that we're using. So we run these polls and we find out the area that people really need support in, and then we schedule those topics for the following weeks to come. So that's why you don't always receive an invite to our webinars much before a Tuesday, Monday or a Tuesday during the week to say that they're being held on Thursday at 2 o'clock. And we just hope that, you know, by offering these sessions as we have been completely free of charge to our global community, we're really helping you and supporting you in what has been a catastrophic time for anybody that delivers face-to-face training, coaching or education. And now what is becoming a different time, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the session, for us to start looking at how the industry can bounce back and how we can actually bring our training and coaching back to life again on a face-to-face basis. But more about that later. I'm going to hand back to Daniel now, and absolutely delighted to have Philip Sykes with us today as a co-host. I've known Philip for a long time and highly recommend his organisation for any training or mentoring or information around the subject of etiquette. So back to you, Daniel.
Fantastic, thank you, Amanda. So a couple of reasons for us to stay behind after obviously Philip closes up in the Q&A. Like Amanda said, she's going to be talking about how we're kind of trying to add our part and do our part to get the face-to-face training back online. Okay, so let's look at how our time is going to be spent today. 50 minutes webinar session with the Q&A on the back end of that as well. Also, please guys, with the chat, we do often get questions about recordings and slides availability. There's no need to put that in the chat because you definitely will be getting a copy of those slides and the recording as well after this session. They will be coming to you guys next week at some point. Okay, so again, when you're leaving, no need to really ask that question. You can just simply say bye, and thank you so much for attending in advance. Okay, so for the 15 minutes and then recording sessions will be sent afterwards. If you are just joining, we are getting a few more people entering. Can you please just turn off your videos for us, please? It will be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get into it. Philip Sykes, if the picture doesn't say enough, and the man standing in front of you doesn't look great enough already, let me just go a little bit into what he's done and what he's achieved. So like I said, a massive welcome to Philip. 25 years in the etiquette industry. He's established the British School of Etiquette in 2013. He's actually the first CPDSO accredited company within that area of etiquette to actually join us, which was about 6 years ago now, and he's PTE accredited with us as well, also ILM and Investors of People accredited too. A principal founder of the British School of Etiquette. His expertise are sought after around the world by royalty, diplomats, presidents, presidential staff, and celebrities. So he's done international work and consultancy in China, Japan, Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, and Europe. I ran out of breath. International network consultancies, and so his international network, of consultants are all over the world as well. So he's got them based in China, Japan, Brazil, and further afield as well. Regular on the media. So he's been on BBC Radio, of those of you that are from the UK, Channel 5 as well. Star, RTL Germany, for those of you that are in Germany, and Dutch TV programs and TV in Mexico, all kinds of different magazines and other publications. So he's really, obviously, well decorated. He's a mouthpiece for the etiquette community. And we have him today. He's been on all of these other media outlets, and today's with us. So more than happy to have him presenting to us today. And without a further ado, I'll hand over to you now, Philip. So yeah, please feel free to share your screen.
Excellent. Is that working, Daniel?
It's looking good to me.
Excellent.
How's it looking to everyone else? Just get a quick good in the chat. All good, all good. It's looking good to everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, firstly, Daniel, thank you for this amazing opportunity, along with Amanda and the incredible team and support of the CPD Standards Office. You have really been a pillar in helping our organization move up in the world, that is for sure. One thing I've always been very focused on is making sure when you engage with people, you offer them huge value and you offer them something with massive substance. And this for me was my engagement with CPD, as Daniel said, many, many years ago. And it has been an incredible journey so far. I want to share with everyone out there that while I have this opportunity, is to share with you that the CPD has been incredibly supportive as well, through the good times and the bad times. And this is what makes the CPD Standards Office such an amazing organization to be a part of. And I love everything that you stand for. Everything in life is about continued professional development. The more we can develop ourselves, the more we can do for people. And this is what life is about. So without further ado, Daniel's given you a brief introduction on me and my background, so I won't bore you any further. And Daniel, if I'm ever having a bad start to the day, I'm going to phone you up and just listen to you just speak about me and my accolades and that sort of thing. It'll set me on the right track. So thank you for such a wonderful introduction. For me, life is very, very short, and we need to really understand how important it is right now that we are very, very present. The one thing I won't do is read my slides to you. Any of you out there presenting, please do me a favor, never read your slides to anybody, because it literally tells the people looking in on you or engaging with you that you can't read. I will obviously reiterate certain parts of what the slides are there for, but I'm not going to read them for you. So these slides are there very much for your benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people think that etiquette and manners are for the posh people, the smart people, and blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. Etiquette and manners are for everybody, all walks of life. From the favelas, the squatter camps in Africa, the favelas in Brazil, to wherever you look in the world, etiquette and manners will stand you in good stead. On the same note, I want to share with you that etiquette and manners are not a nice to have. They are an absolute need to have. And I'll even back that up with the power of etiquette and manners. And it really is fundamental that you understand why etiquette and manners are so important. Just as the slide says to you, they are like so we don't crash into one another. And right now, with all of us all in the same boat, we all have had to face these challenges. We really are. We sometimes feel like rabbits in front of headlights. So how do we elevate ourselves and motivate ourselves to another level? Firstly, before I go on, I want to share some benefits with you. For me, there are 6 key fundamental benefits and actual core values when it comes to etiquette and manners. The first thing about etiquette and manners, they help you earn respect. They charm your personality. They make relationships smoother. They increase your confidence. They keep us motivated and they keep us happy. And the final one is they impart strength to digest failure. Now, if any of you are interested in an elaboration on those 6 points, I would, through Daniel, be more than happy to email those to Daniel and he can share those with you, because each one of those has huge value attached to them. When we come to engaging with people, more so now than ever before, we need to be respectful. We need to be very aware of what's going on around us. So I like to talk about having situational awareness, making sure that we know exactly what's happening in our lives, but not only in our own lives. Let's think about other people. Let's think about what's going on around us. And I really would love to share a little answer to a question I was asked a few years ago. Philip, they said, Philip, could you give us a little bit of a layman terms of what is the power and importance of etiquette and manners? And for me, the first thing was, in a world where we can be anything, be kind. That's number 1. We can all do a random act of kindness on a daily basis, and we may just set the world in the right direction. That's number 2. Number 3 is have a what can I do for you attitude. How can I help you? And I really would love you to incorporate those into your lives, because the moment we start to put those into perspective, boom, things will start to change in your life. Don't let your mood dictate your manners. Don't let your mood dictate your manners. This is easier said than done. One thing for sure is the moment we speak, we give life to our words. You cannot take those words back. So please, ladies and gentlemen, incorporate certain things in your life. For example, triggers like a 6-second rule. So when we're dealing under these times of frustration, under times of feeling very anxious, or times of feeling stressed, incorporate tools into your life that can help you just slow down. Learn to be more present and learn to be more mindful. So for me, that's just a brief little summary of why is etiquette and why are manners and etiquette so important. Because if we bring that into our daily lives, whether we're working with our families, working with friends, working with people on the internet, through these Zoom calls, through all these digital platforms, we really need to be very much in tune with ourselves. We really and truly do. When it comes to the most fundamental aspects of ourselves, we really need to put some structure into our lives. I had the opportunity not so long ago to engage with someone who shared with me an incredible journey on how they've managed to achieve so much in their lives. And it was a very, very dynamic author, an author that is a household name. And he's written many, many volumes, many books. I sat down and asked him a question. I said, how is it that you are able to achieve what you achieve? And he said, Philip, I really had to be very, very disciplined with my time. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to really share two fundamental facts that right now, and as we move forward in life, the two key areas of our lives, the two most important areas of our lives are time and health. Time, this moment's just gone. This moment's just gone. So time is fundamental. Warren Buffett, one of the world's most dynamic and humble entrepreneurs, said, I can pretty much afford anything, but I cannot buy time. So time is one of them. And the other one is our health. Health is key. We need to look after ourselves. And I would like to elaborate on that a little bit later. So for example, this gentleman said to me, he said, Philip, what I do is I actually have to put a pretty strict structure into play. And I think this is where we right now, we can start to put things into place that can really help us take a step forward. Ladies and gentlemen, remember one thing. If I stand on the top of the hill with my mouth open, do you think a duck is going to fly into my mouth? No, it's not. It'll never happen. I think I've got more chance of becoming pregnant than a duck flying into my mouth. It's just not going to happen. We need to go out there and capture that duck, wring its neck, take the feathers off, pop it in the pot and eat it. And by the way, it's just an analogy. I love animals. But we can't expect things just to fall into our laps. We've got to go out there more so now than ever before and make that difference. Stand out from the crowds. You know, I truly believe in life, always under promise and over deliver. When we can adopt that mindset and that ability, you can absolutely see differences in making changes in our personal world, but not only in our personal world, in our business world. So going back to this gentleman, he shared with me that he started to put a routine in place because his life was a bit all over the show. And he said to me, Philip, what I do is I set my alarm for around 6:37. I get out of bed and I go and do a good hour's worth of exercise. I then come back, get ready for the day, shower and whatnot. I then have a breakfast, and that roughly takes me to around 8:30, give or take. I then take the dog out for a walk. I then sit down at my desk. And ladies and gentlemen, bearing in mind, I haven't mentioned he hasn't turned a mobile phone on yet. He hasn't turned his computer on yet. He says, Philip, what I do is I read because I need to feed my brain, mind feed. I read for a good couple of hours during the course of the morning with a few regular breaks, take the dog for a walk around the block, have a coffee. At about 11 o'clock, I turn my phone on for the first time. I look at any messages, WhatsApps, whatever it might be that I need to tend to, return any phone calls. I then turn my phone off and I have an early lunch. Off the back of lunch, I sit down and I turn my computer on for the first time. I attend to any emails, I attend to any digital detail that I need to deal with right there. And then I obviously use the computer for some further research. The rest of the afternoon, I turn my laptop off, my computer off. My rest of my afternoon, I sit and I write. I write for a good couple of hours with regular breaks. And by 5:30, my day is done. And I then have time with my family and that sort of thing. That really resonated with me. And believe it or not, it's something that I've made a huge effort to do in my life. We can't do it every single day because maybe there are different things going on in our lives. And right now, with the current environment we're faced with, yes, some things are turning back to normal in a roundabout way. And now we're back to where kids are now breaking up on school holiday and parents are having to juggle jobs, social lives, personal lives. And so it's not a normal world we're living in. So one of the areas that I fundamentally think is crucial right now is to put some form of structure into our lives. It'll make a huge difference. At least attempt to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, to increase and introduce a new habit normally takes 21 days. To break a habit, believe it or not, takes 63 days. Okay, so please, please, please make that effort to put some form of structure. Communicate with your loved ones and work on that structure together. Communicate so that the right hand and the left hand are talking to one another. More so now than ever before, communication is key. I'm going to talk about communication because this is pretty much an area that we all fall down in. Communicating is an art form. It really and truly is. We run many programs and coaching sessions on the art of communication, on the art of conversation. And the core of all of this is listening. We need to listen. God, or whoever created us, gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Most of us listen to reply. We don't listen to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, think about what I just said. We need to learn to listen so that we learn and we understand. Go into each conversation or go into each meeting with the attitude, I want to learn something, I want to be amazed, and slow down. So that's just a little hint of a detail in the art of communicating and listening. Use and bring words in to your conversation when you are listening to people. Ask them questions beginning with a where, a why, a who, a how. All those type of words really will help you to connect with the other person. You know, ladies and gentlemen, in this digital world that we're living in right now, more so than ever before, listening is going to be one of your key instruments that will help you elevate yourself to another level. Because the moment we listen, and I'm talking about active listening that we really take on board what people are sharing with us. We sort of semi-repeat what they're sharing with us so that they feel we've connected with them. But when we listen, we can then offer our services. We can then make a connection with people. And in doing so, people will start to trust us. People will start to really appreciate and respect you for taking the time to actively listen. Use your body language. The power of body language is one of the most powerful things that we have in our lives. I don't know if some of you are aware, or maybe you're not, but the statistics are actually quite shocking. They really and truly are. 75 to 80% of our communication is non-verbal. So when we are communicating in this digital world, be very aware of what your body language is sharing to people. You are under scrutiny more so now than ever before. So before you really sit down and you make that effort to connect with people through Zoom calls and through the various different platforms, please, please, please take time to make sure that your office space is neat, it's tidy. Make sure there are no distractions. Turn off all your other digital apparatuses. Be at your desk a good 10, 15 minutes before you engage with whoever you're engaging with. And dress appropriately. You know, Daniel paid me a compliment on the way I'm dressed today. I don't do this just because I'm presenting to you amazing people out there. I do it for me as well. It elevates me to a different level. I feel proud. I feel energized. I feel very, very self-respecting of myself. And then with absolutely every endeavor to make sure that I'm showing huge respect toward people that I'm engaging with. And not only that, it shows that I take myself seriously. Doesn't mean I don't have a sense of humor and enjoy making jokes and enjoying life. We need that in life, absolutely. And I often say to people, if you don't have a sense of humor or personality, try and find one, buy one, get one on Amazon or do something, because ladies and gentlemen, we need this, especially more so now than ever before again. So again, please make sure that your presentation, even if you are working from home, some of you might be going to your offices, we need to make that effort. Your backdrop, your digital display behind you. You saw Amanda had an incredible backdrop. This is professional. It shows that you are absolutely focused on you, your brand. Something else I would love to share with you as well is one of the areas that is fundamental is I want you all to realize and look at yourselves as that you are your own brand. Think about it this way, and I wish I could get interaction from a lot of people. I normally put this question out to a lot of our students. What phone do you have? So some people say Samsung, a lot of people say Apple. And then you ask them a question. What is good? What do you love about your Apple phone? What is it that you love about your Samsung phone? Would you recommend X, Y, and Z for me? And people go crazy. Yes, my Apple's amazing. It's got a great camera. It's got easy to use apps on it. It's easy to sync with all my Apple apparatuses. Boom, boom, boom. And they go nuts. And they are selling Apple to you hands down. And Apple's just turning on. I'm in heaven and I love you. Yeah, baby. Because all of a sudden, you become an advocate for Apple. We need to think about ourselves. We need to get people to become advocates for us. So you are your brand. So please, communicating in this digital world that's become the norm now, the big, big norm, you really need to understand that you are your brand and you've got to put the best foot forward. You've got to create this opportunity for people to connect with you. And not only people to connect with you, but people to recommend you to other people so that you can grow and develop as an individual, but your organization that you work for can grow and develop. As if you're an entrepreneur, you can grow and develop. So please, ladies and gentlemen, understand the importance of you and your brand. Not only that, make sure that your social media, that every single one of your platforms is 100% consistent. Do not share family pictures on your Facebook and the dog licking its bowl of milk and the kitty cat licking its whiskers and its paws and all these. Yes, they're fun to see and it brings humor, but rather share them in closed groups. You or your brand, portray your image across all the platforms and make sure that you've got consistency in the way you present yourself, because people now have this ability to look us up across the board and they want to see consistency. They want to see, can that person put their money where their mouth is? Remember another thing that I'd love to really share with all of you, that we are one person, one opportunity away from someone changing our lives for the rest of our lives. So by you putting the correct foot forward, you just never know who you're connecting with. You just never know who you may impress. You just never know what the outcome could be. So I urge every single one of you to really look at how you're conducting yourselves on all your social media platforms, how you're conducting yourselves when you stand in front of a computer. Where are you looking? Am I looking into the camera or am I looking at the screen where the people are? These are very important small little tips, and actually they're not even tips, these are tools. You want tips and you want tricks, you can find those on the internet. These are real fundamental tools that off the back of today, you can implement immediately into your life. So please understand that this form of communication has become, it's like it's on steroids. And don't forget, people are inundated with requests to connect on Zoom or connect on a phone call or engage through the email platform. So again, use your time wisely and deal with the things that are important. So prioritizing your task, prioritizing your connections, prioritizing your meetings will help you hugely to be able to get that much more done. I truly know for a fact, because we've seen it happen in our organization, email has become incredibly important, more so again than ever before. So please, we tend to rush in this world. Slow down, make sure you've got a clear subject line. Do not write anything in capitals because you're shouting. Make sure that your spelling, every single thing, your grammar is written in a correct form and sense, because this is another opportunity for people to show your professional approach. The moment there's a spelling error or something doesn't make sense, it shows that there's a lack of attention to detail. And again, that word attention to detail is something which is so powerful. Attention to detail really at the end of the day is what this is all about. Be detailed and be very, very focused on what you can do to make a difference. And this doesn't mean throwing money at the problem. This is how do we wow people in this world right now? What can we do for our customers that we weren't doing before? What can we do to respect the current situation that we never really had to think about in the past? We just went through our lives as almost on autopilot. Now more so than ever before, we've really got to be even more switched on. When it comes to email, make sure, for example, that if you're replying to an all CC, that are you replying, and is it necessary to reply to everybody, for example? Or is it just okay to reply to the person that the email is appropriate for? We don't need to inundate people with huge amounts of emails coming through inboxes. I'm sure most of you out there get umpteen dozen emails a day. So by being respectful, using the rules of online communication, just slow down and think, does everybody need to read this email, or can I just add a few people that need to see this particular email? Do not bring the blind CC in. I think that's one way of really tripping yourself up. The blind CC is really there to inform people. It's not there to give someone a bollocking behind so-called closed doors or belittle someone behind closed doors. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, do not put things on email that you would not be prepared to say to someone face to face. Something I want to share with all of you. When we speak, we give life to our words. We can't take those words back. When we press send, you can't, 9.9 times out of 10, you cannot recall that message. So whatever we place on social media, whatever we send through on an email, make sure that you would feel happy receiving that correspondence. And on that note, I'd love to share a story with you. About 20 years ago in the USA, there was a CEO who got fed up with his executives performing badly. He wrote them a very harsh email along the following lines. When I get into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, the car park is empty. When I leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, the car park is empty. You chaps better get your acts together or heads are going to roll. There will be consequences. And he hit send. And that was an internal email. Some chap got really annoyed and frustrated and upset by that. And he sent it out into the World Wide Web. That company's share price dropped by 35% overnight. So please, right now, more than ever before, just be vigilant. If you're going to write an email that needs to have sort of some stern words in it, write it by all means in a Word document. Do not put it into email because that accident will hit the send button and all of a sudden it's out there. So please, please, please make an effort to reread and ask yourself that one question. How would I feel if I received that email? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, emails don't have that sort of tonality. They don't have that ability to sort of connect with people as we do as human beings and in voice. We also need to make sure that we acknowledge and acknowledge people who've made an effort to email us. Even if you can't answer the full email right there and then, at least send them a courtesy email and say, you know what, thank you for your email. I will get back to you on Monday next week, and then diarize that to make sure that you get back to that person. We need to be responsible and we need to be respectful. It is hugely, hugely important. Phones, telephones, we all know how to use a telephone, and I know that the younger generation of today may not use it as much as, let's say, the generation I'm from. It is a fundamental and a key tool, more so again now than ever before. I truly believe connecting on the telephone will absolutely help your business exponentially. And so there is a form of telephone etiquette. We need to acknowledge people. There's some amazing letters, the letter P that I would love to share with you. And they go along the following lines. The 5 Ps are pitch, pace, power, pause, and project. Whenever you are engaging through a Zoom call or whether you are engaging on the telephone, take those into account. The pitch of our voice, the pace that we speak at, the power, the energy that we put into our voice, the pause. You want to get someone's attention, you can pause. You're giving off a lot of information, you pause, just to let people acknowledge what you're sharing with them. And so it's pitch, pace, power, pause, and the projecting. We need to push our words out. So when we're on the telephone, answering the telephone clearly and concisely and making it known to the caller who you are and the name of your company. I had an experience a while back where I phoned an estate agency, and the woman answered the phone, and I'm just going to call it Jones. I'm not going to name and shame anyone. Jones, how may I help you? And I said, hello, my name is Philip. Who am I speaking to? Who do you want to speak to? And I thought, oh my hat, am I really engaging with someone on the other end of the phone who comes across like this? Does Mr. Jones know who's answering his phone like that? After spending 20 years of building his brand and his business, boom, someone's can ruin it overnight. So I said to this lady, I said, it's Philip Sykes speaking, who am I speaking to? Now, my tone of voice got a little bit sort of firmer. And she said, it's Claire, how may I help you? And I thought, oh my hat, does Mr. Jones know how Claire is dealing with his business? And I very much doubt it, because most people now are mobile to mobile. We're not phoning our landlines. So for those of you who run your own businesses and you do still use landlines and that sort of thing, do regular checks and see how people are answering your company telephones. So slow down when we answer the phone. On the same day, I've actually phoned a dentist to book an appointment, and the woman answered the phone with such enthusiasm and such unbelievable energy. I said to her, did someone just tell you a joke? She said, as a matter of fact, yes. So please, when we engage on the telephone, answer with a smile, answer with energy in your voice, speak clearly, slow down, and make sure that we listen to what people are saying to us on the other end of the phone. Wait for people to finish and acknowledge them with little things like, yes, and don't just go silent on the other end of the phone. This is the art of good communication, okay? And please, please, please make sure that you take time to finish the phone call professionally. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. I will follow up with you shortly. I will be sending you an email at the beginning of next week. however the conversation has been leading, finish it off professionally and politely. It is such an amazing, powerful tool. One of the things at the British School of Etiquette we endeavor to do is that if someone's made an inquiry with us, we jump on the telephone ASAP, wherever they are in the world. Obviously, time zones we take into account. And I can tell you one thing, that it is so powerful. The amount of connection and the amount of interaction we get with people, because we make that effort to speak to people. We don't hide just behind digital technology. One of the areas before sort of closing down, because I'm very conscious that time is obviously not on our side, and we've got about another 5 or 6 minutes to go through right now. Communicating in this digital world is something that I know for a fact will continue more than we ever believed it would. You know, organizations like Zoom and Skype must be inundated, and so they are obviously having to really support us and back us up. So again, try not to vent your frustration on organizations who are trying to help and support us. Yes, I know we pay for services, but at the same time, we're all in this together and we all need to support one another. And I really want you to adopt this "how can I help you" attitude. So for me, it is fundamental that we can really make an effort to build ourselves as human beings. I noticed on that survey that Daniel very kindly popped up on the screen, how do we handle our mental being and our mental health? How do we take ourselves forward? How do we dig ourselves out of this difficulty and this challenging times? And it is all about our mental health and our mental stability and attitude. One thing I know for sure, ladies and gentlemen, one of the core elements that we can all do is build our EQ, our emotional intelligence. We can grow our emotional intelligence. And I truly believe that emotional intelligence, when you've got fundamental, strong emotional intelligence, it's almost impossible to have bad life skills, bad etiquette, and bad manners. And we as an organization have focused hugely on emotional intelligence. We incorporate EQ into our coaching and training programs pretty much on any one of the areas we focus on. So much so now that we've launched 3 very dynamic emotional intelligence programs. One of them, our core one, is leading with emotional intelligence. So for anyone out there who's a leader, who wants to move ahead in life, or anyone out there who just wants to better themselves, I would urge you to take a look at EQ. There's an amazing book out there by Daniel Goleman, and again, I will share this with Daniel so he can pass this on to you. Daniel Goleman wrote a book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Matters More Than IQ. We can be super smart, we can be very, very clever, but if we don't have the ability to connect with people, if we don't have the ability to work with other people on all levels, in other words, taking time to listen, taking time to respect, learning to engage on small talk, taking time to help other people out, we end up inevitably falling down. And there were some statistics from the US that on a research platform through, I think it was through Harvard or through Stanford University, they did a research, I think it was through around 2 million people. And it was discovered that people with higher EQ tend to earn between $25,000 and $35,000 more a year than people with a lower EQ. And I know for a fact that through our coaching and training programs that we deliver and offer, the feedback we get from our students on this particular subject, coupled with the importance of etiquette and manners, and bearing in mind, please understand that etiquette and manners is not just about the knife and fork. It definitely isn't. I promise you that right now. Yes, we discuss the knife and fork, and yes, it is important to have exceptional table manners. Obviously it is, but we go far deeper into how do we connect with people? How do we grow a business through the importance and power of etiquette and manners? How can we ourselves better ourselves? How can we make changes in our lives? And we can do this through learning the importance and taking the journey of emotional intelligence. It is something which is a journey, and it is a continuous journey. It is something that I would urge every single one out there, if there's one golden nugget you take from today, please endeavor to research emotional intelligence and see what it can do for you. I just would love to finish off a little story, if I may, with a little story, if I may. I do hope that I've shared a few tools with you that you can take away. As you know, 40 odd minutes goes quickly. I wanted to give you as much as I could in this time verbally. So I gave you the opportunity to read the slides, and not only that, Daniel will be sending you the slides. So I just wanted to sort of touch on some very important points. And the story I'd love to share with all of you is we need to take life in bite-sized chunks. So for me, the story goes along the following lines. Some of you may know the book, or may know of the two climbers that took the challenge of K2 on board many, many years ago. Very, very experienced climbers, very experienced climbers, and people that took their climbing hugely serious. And for anyone out there who is a climber, as you know, you have these bucket lists of places you want to climb. Anyway, these two climbers wanted to take on K2. And off they went. They started their ascent and they were climbing. And one of the chaps got slightly injured, but he wanted to continue. He felt he was strong enough to climb and keep going. And as you may or may not know, climbers rope themselves up to one another for support and for safety. And as they're climbing up one of the faces, the gentleman who was injured happens to lose his footing. And he really loses his footing on this occasion. And he starts to slide down this shelf. And next minute he falls, boom, straight over the edge. And his friend at this stage is now swung around very quickly, and he's now holding as best as he can. He's got his crampons catching the snow and eventually anchors. And now his friend is over a precipice that he cannot look over. His friend is dangling about, who knows, 20, 30, 40 feet below. And he is now there. Does he have the strength to pull his friend up? No, he doesn't. Does his friend have the strength to pull himself up? No, he doesn't. So the unwritten code, the unwritten rule when it comes to climbing, you take your knife and you cut the rope. And this is exactly what his friend had to do. Took out the knife, cut the rope. Boom! His friend falls to, I don't know how many meters, hundreds of meters, hitting the ice and the glacier, smashing against rocks of ice and smashing against rocks. And he falls and rolls somehow into a crevasse, tumbling. And his rope gets caught and stuck in something. So now he's dangling in the middle of this deep, deep crevasse. For those of you who are not familiar with a crevasse on these glaciers, some of them are so big that you could put a yacht in there and you wouldn't be able to see the mast sticking up. He is now hanging down below. He's staring into pitch black. He can see a bit of light above him. He doesn't have the strength to pull himself up. He's hanging there. He's having to go to the loo in his outfit. He's fully laden with all his kit. He's standing there. It's heavy. His colleague at the same time up there, who's now obviously devastated, starts to make a descent going down, and with the Sherpas and gets to base camp. The weather is so bad that they can't send out helicopters to look for this chap. So they're at base camp waiting for the weather to clear. This chap now hanging in the crevasse knows that he's going to either sit there and freeze to death, or he has to make a plan. And he digs deep into his mind, and he realizes from the memory and from his experience that the majority of crevasses have an exit at the bottom. So he takes his knife this time and he cuts it, and he falls into the abyss. Boom! Smashing the ground, breaking more bones. And he's lying in a heap at the bottom of this crevasse. He is broken. And he's thinking, oh my heck, my life's over. It's all over. And then he starts to think, and he starts to dig deep inside his mind. And he starts to give himself small challenges. He says, you know what, I'm going to get out of here. And he looked a meter ahead of himself, 2 meters ahead of himself, and he said, I'm going to get to that rock over there. And he started to crawl and roll and crawl and roll. And he would rest. Now, everyone is still at base camp. 2 or 3 days have passed. They're getting anxious. The weather hasn't cleared. This chap's now crawling, rolling, eating what little rations he's got in his pack. He's pacing himself. He's passing out through the pain. And 5 days go past. Now they're starting to pack up at base camp. They think there's no way he survived this. There's no way. And on the 5th day, as they're packing up, they hear in the distance, help, help, help. And sure enough, this chap had crawled out of that crevasse, step by step, moment by moment, setting himself these small little challenges, grasping for that 1 meter, that 2 meters. And ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I share that story is because we all have it within us to take things in bite-sized chunks. We all have it in us to make these sacrifices and push ourselves to the next level. That I know for sure, because we've managed to do that in our business. I've managed to do it in my personal life. No one's had a straight road out there. No one's had this just rolled out red carpet. We've all had curveballs thrown at us. But as an organization, we were very much people facing. Absolutely, 100% actually. I was traveling the world, meeting and working with people. And all of a sudden, boom, we're stuck and faced with this challenge. And through a dynamic team, so again, surround yourself with amazing people, surround yourself with positive people, get rid of the negative people in your lives. And with an amazing team, we've managed to pivot our organization to purely become an online training and coaching organization. And we get the opportunity to work with the most phenomenal people from all over the world. And please, if you have the opportunity, do take a look at our website. I would love to say thank you so much for your time, for listening. Again, I truly hope that you've taken more than just 1 or 2 golden nuggets away. Again, to Amanda and to Daniel, thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. And I'm going to hand back to you, Daniel. Daniel?
Hello.
Daniel.
Hey, guys. Hello. Thank you for that, Philip. Brilliant presentation. Thank you so much for that. Can everyone see me and can everyone hear me? Perfect. Everyone can see me and everyone can hear me. We've got Amanda back. Thank you so much, Philip, for that brilliant presentation. So just to touch on a few points that Philip made, that got the chat going a bit. People really like Daniel Goldman, and people really did appreciate your points on pointing out the emotional intelligence. I did want to just pick up on the dress to impress kind of slant that you put on it as well. I don't think I'm wearing my best shirt today, but it will do, I guess, for this one. So just wanted to let you know that we do have a blog out on our website as well, which is it's definitely in line with this. And it's all about dressing to impress on webinars. So please do, we will be sharing that link at the end of this. So please do stick around to receive that one. Like I said, we're going to be moving into Q&A just now. And then after the Q&A, Amanda's going to be back with us to talk a bit more after the session. So please do stick around with that, and we'll be sharing that link on how to dress to impress on webinars. That's actually shared and co-created with Alexandra Wood, whose flagship store is actually on Savile Row. If any of you know Savile Row, I'm sure Philip actually does his shopping there. So, all right, brilliant. So let's move into questions. I mean, we've got an abundance of questions that came through, which is brilliant. So let's just go through some of these questions. So we have one from Lorna, who asked, to what extent are the generational differences as the role and manifestation of etiquette? So what extent are the generational differences? What effects do they have? I think she's trying to ask, what effects do generational differences have on etiquette?
That's a wonderful question, and that actually will take a bit of time to answer, but let me give it to you in a nutshell. I think we as human beings, we need to be respectful. So just to share with all of you, the British School of Etiquette was not founded on this, oh, we're British and this is how we do things. We all know that every country and every culture has, you know, people behaving well and people behaving badly. It's not about the British that we are the go-to for etiquette and manners. We know we're not. Okay, this is about bringing cultures together and understanding that we all have different rules of engagement, different ways of connecting with people. We really need to adopt a very positive, open mindset in order to learn from one another. Learn to connect with people through little bits of their language or little bits of understanding their dress code, understanding their cuisine, understanding their superstitions, making sure that we show this utmost respect. So etiquette is really the guiding principles. It really is the rules of engagement. It's those traffic lights that I mentioned in the beginning of today's presentation. And, you know, for me, this is very much one about understanding that there will always be this time in our lives where we have to learn to adapt, as we've had to learn to adapt our rules of engagement. You know, Amanda and Daniel and I were talking just before we came on live. You know, this greeting, when you greet through Zoom now, you know, use the beautiful hand on the heart and just a little smile and a head nod. Hello, how are you? Or the lovely namaste. The gimmicks of touching elbows and playing footsie, that can be fun, yes. But really, if you want to be professional and still connect with beautiful energy, you know, a little head nod, that smile is powerful. The eye contact is huge. We need to smile and our eyes need to smile at the same time. You know, this is fundamental. Make that 3-second connection long enough to know the other person's color of their eyes, and then move to the human triangle. You know, stay connected. It is so important, more so than ever before. But the rules of engagement tend to be fairly, there's always the solid platform, and then there are going to be new rules and things springing up that we need to take on board, more so than ever before.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. Also got this question through actually before the webinar. So this one came through from Barbara. She asked, I have heard so many different ways of making eye contact, and it would be really grateful and useful for some information on this.
Lovely. Barbara, what a great question. As I've just said, for me, one of the most powerful things, obviously, let's bring into play the lovely handshake. Handshakes are fundamental, and I do hope they come back into play in maybe not soon, but in a year or so's time. The handshake is possibly one of the most key ingredients in a firm, proper handshake. We have a whole module on that, believe it or not. But the eye contact is very much connecting with someone for a minimum 3 seconds, so much so that if I meet Amanda for the first time and say, hello, my name's Philip, how are you? And Amanda greets me, my name's Amanda, how are you? And we connect. I should then be able to turn around and someone says, what color eyes does Amanda have? And I say, she's got these beautiful greeny blue eyes. That is the importance of eye contact. We don't want to stare people down and make them feel all awkward. You want to then move to what we call the human triangle. So you look at the nose, the chin, the ears. You want to stay connected facially. So this is a very, very key point that you can adopt in your life. A lot of people, especially a lot of youngsters, really struggle. They're not sure where to look. And this tool takes a bit of practice, but I promise you it works a charm.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a little question there, Philip? Because I think, you know, you make a really good point about eye contact. And we were talking just before the seminar started about the fact that nobody can shake hands anymore or, you know, have that vital human interaction and social connection that we've always had. So how, as a trainer or as a coach, when you're delivering training sessions and one-to-one sessions, can you keep that eye contact? Is it just by staring into your webcam, just as I am now, and sort of visualizing it? Or are there any other sort of hints and tips you could give our trainers and coaches for trying to recreate that face-to-face eye contact of 3 seconds that you discuss?
Certainly, that's a great question. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's obviously normal for us. If I see Amanda's faces on the screen just below my webcam, I'm obviously thinking I'm now connecting with Amanda here. But you train yourself to look at the camera. What I find is a very useful tool to get used to this is cut out a picture of a face or two or three faces just behind you and place them just behind your webcam or your camera of your screen if you're just using your camera on your computer. And it will help you to stay engaged with those faces. And if you really want to trip yourself up for an experience, have an angry face there so it wakes you up and now you've got to sort of mentally try and lure that person back in. It does work. When we do our train the trainer coaching, we have a 5-day program for people who want to enter the industry in the line of work we're in. And it really works so well. Whenever I'm practicing for presentations or anything like that, I will literally put a whole lot of faces on a wall behind my screen, and I will practice behind my camera. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I know Amanda's question was very much about connecting through the digital platform, but bearing in mind when we do get back to connecting with people in face-to-face conversations and face-to-face coaching, don't forget, you know, people on your periphery as well. So the art of connecting with body language, you know, that connection, the eye contact is huge. But that's one of the tools I use, Amanda, and it works a charm.
Thank you. It's funny you should say that about having faces, either, you know, ones you've drawn or your kids have drawn or cut out from magazines or even stick men. We, over the last few weeks, we've run sessions on how to be a great online trainer, how to build resilience, you know, how to look at yourself positively as a trainer online. And so many people have given that tip. Of putting faces up behind your screen, just behind your camera. And I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, well, I didn't have time for that. What I did was just pin the paper behind my, the newspaper behind my screen that just had a lot of people in the picture. So I didn't even worry about kind of creating something, but just seeing other people, even a photo in a newspaper just kind of reminded people just to, you know, take into account what that human reaction might be to you delivering online. So it's definitely a key tip there for trainers and coaches.
Absolutely. And I think lighting, what we didn't discuss lighting. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your lighting is you know, having lights on you, using your windows. You can, if you are in a darkish room, you can put, you know, a white reflector board to the right of you that pushes light onto your face. Please, you really want to make your first impression count, and you know, make sure that you're connecting with people. And then we need to, even though we're not looking at the screen, at least we can see your face when we do glance down, because you'd still use the same principle of using the human triangle. So I'm not just staring into my webcam right now. Every now and then my eyes will dip down just to look at the screen to see if there's a message or see that, you know, and watching the other person's body language. This is something which is crucial. You will now more now than ever before notice people's body language and start to actually realize what someone said to me the other day. I need to teach my face to listen to my inside voice. And I just love that. So we really need to be very, very aware of what's going on. So Barbara, your question went to a very long answer.
Yeah, he said to listen to you need to teach your face to listen to your inside voice, or teach it not to listen to your inside voice sometimes as well. Just a couple more. I've got to ask these ones because these are really good. What is the etiquette of sending a read receipt and acknowledging an email with a reply?
Sorry, one more time. Just repeat that for me, Daniel. My apologies.
What is the etiquette on sending a read receipt and acknowledging an email with a reply?
Can you elaborate on that for me? Just give me a little bit more to go on.
So I think I think what you can do is you can send automatic read receipts,
Okay.
or you can kind of respond with an actual reply. So which one is
an automatic reply? And again, that can, you know, if you've got a system, a CRM that works in your favor, that can document the process, that it will remind you that you now need to take action on that particular email, then I would definitely go down that road. I mean, knowing someone's read your email is important, because we, you know, a lot of our email communications, hopefully to type for business or to make sure that we're offering people some guidance and steering and value. So the fact that it's been read, we know that they've received it. And this can also help us knowing that our email hasn't gone into a spam or junk folder. So again, that is something that we need to be aware of. And then an automatic reply, by all means, put up an automated reply if you're dealing with a lot of emails each day, but make sure that you've got a system that you can absolutely go through each mail and then respond accordingly and professionally. I hope I've answered the question correctly. And something I want to share with everyone else as well on this email front is that when you've sent someone an email and it's an email that you're wanting a reply on and someone hasn't replied, give it a day or two, then go back to the original email, hit the forward button, the email drops down below, you put that person's same email address in the to, and you write a very polite message. Dear John, hope this email finds you well. Not sure if you received the email below. It may have landed up in your spam folder. Please do get back to me at your earliest convenience. Keeping your etiquette, keeping your manners, you then press send. John doesn't reply after the second email. That is when I would urge you to send a very polite text message. Dear John, it's Philip here, just checking in that you may have received my last 2 emails. I'm concerned that they may have gone to your spam folder. Boom, 9 times out of 10, you will get a reply.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for your answers, Philip. We're gonna have to move on. I did just want to get your just a 20-second response to this one. So, because you do have international experience, so I just wanted to get your response to this one. So, do you have any top tips on etiquette across cultures for teams that work across cultures? Just a quick, snappy one for that one, Philip.
Great. Do your research. We're obviously blessed with the internet, so please do your research. I mean, we run modules on this. We engage with brands in UAE and all over the world, and I'm hugely blessed to be able to do so. Do your research and then talk to people in that country about the do's and don'ts. So find someone who's user-friendly within a team over in that part of the world that's involved in your organization. Say, look, I would really love to learn more about your culture. I'd love to learn more how things are done in your part of the world, because I'm really interested and excited to know more. I think we need to have this sort of, Daniel, we had an incident with one of our students not so long ago. A young Australian girl was visiting a good friend of hers in Hong Kong. And like all of us, we're proud about our countries. And this lovely Hong Kong lady took her friend to a really typical Hong Kongese restaurant. And her friend turned around and said, "You people eat this?" And, you know, again, this is just the analogy I want to share with you. We really need to sort of, you know, obviously we all know how we would rephrase that, but we do it in the spur of the moment. We do it, boom, because it's just, we're not thinking. Let's everyone just slow down and take time just to connect and think about what we're going to be saying. But really do your research on those cultural differences. And I promise you, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know a little bit, and you need to be seen to be making an effort. The doors will open. People will be, wow, that person really, really has shown effort. So learning little bits of how do you greet. So in Chinese, ni hao, dacha hao. In the Arabic world, assalamu alaikum. In Brazil, hola. In Spanish, again, hola. Bonjour. You know who you're connecting with. Use a few of their phrases. And wow, all of a sudden you get this incredible connection.
Fantastic. So much value for money. Thank you so much, Philip. I mean, it's been a great pleasure having you through the presentation and through the Q&A. We do have more questions. However, we are pressed for time and I need to hand it over to Amanda now. So I just want to thank you again, Philip, for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure. So Amanda, when you're ready, please do go ahead and share your screen with us.